Move, Toku. Moved. Okay, you guys were probably sick of that running gag anyway. Hey guys, it's ExandShadow, and welcome back, finally, to Let's Play LostWinds, Winter of the Melodias. Now, I'm sorry for the massive delay that happened between parts there. I really didn't mean for it to take that long. It's just, well, this is kind of a hard part of the game to commentate over, and I know that's just a really sort of lame, no excuse, but... well, we're really just sort of trying to get out of the Melodia Palace at this point, and that's not really particularly interesting. There's no plot in this episode. There's no real progression in this episode. It's just sort of leaving where we left off and going to the next plot thing. We don't really start doing anything interesting until next part where, like, stuff happens and shit. But that's really no excuse. I will admit that at first it was sort of just a commentator's block, if that's a thing. I don't know if that's necessarily a thing, but I'm going to pretend that it's a thing. But then after a while, it was a combination of laziness and being busy. More laziness than actual busy, because I can tell you there have been plenty of times when I've just been sitting on my ass watching reruns of shit, playing Atrian Odyssey 4, which is a very good game, mind you. You should probably you should pick that up if you get the chance. Fire Emblem, I managed to play and complete Fire Emblem in between the last two parts, and Fire Emblem Awakening is an amazing game. I highly recommend that. So, yeah. 3DS stuff. Love me some 3DS stuff. Which I guess is, since I've got to come up with some sort of distraction topic for this part, because there's no other way I'm going to fill up the time. I really do think that would have been a platform where this series could have strived on, is DS/3DS. Now, the iOS port already showed that Frontier was willing to make the LostWinds a portable franchise, though I'm not sure if you'd consider iOS portable. Well, I guess it technically is. You know, cell phones are probably the most portable things we have in today's society, but we as gamers just generally consider cell phone gaming and like handheld gaming, like a DS or PSP, we consider those very separate things. So I guess that's probably why. Yeah, that's probably why I haven't thought of it really before now. Because the thing is that for whatever reason, we don't really take cell phone gaming or iPhone gaming particularly seriously. And I think part of that has to do with just the touch screen. Everything in an iOS game is touch screen, which basically means, unless if you are a touchscreen minigame or an RPG, you really can't play it all that well. Because, like, Sonic CD, I tried playing the Sonic CD port on iOS, and I couldn't do it just because I hated the virtual keypad. I hated the virtual keypad so much. But with a game like LostWinds, the iOS controls work pretty okay. I'd still rather have a control stick to move around than the sort of tappy thing that they did. But, you know, when it comes to manipulating the wind, the most important part, the touchscreen controls worked fine. So I feel like, especially with the 3DS, because higher graphics capabilities and stuff, I feel like this would be a good game to take advantage of the game's wind mechanics. Though I guess it would be kind of weird because you'd obviously want to have... I'd love to see some of these environments in the 3DS as 3D, but the problem is that if you were going to go with the touchscreen route, you'd probably have to have the in-game graphics be on the bottom screen, which means you can't really take advantage of the 3D effect a whole lot. Which sucks, but, you know, I think that would be worth a try, because even though these games are really, really short, like only 2 or 3 hours short, I do feel like that they would, if they were to enhance the formula, that I think that this really would work on a handheld platform. Now, I don't really talk about this too much, but I generally prefer playing on a handheld to playing on a console or on the computer, just because I like handheld's portability. You know, I like being able to play in my bed or lying on the couch instead of sitting upright in front of my TV or sitting in an uncomfortable computer chair. You know, a lot of people complain about the size of handheld screens, but that's never really bothered me, considering that you can always just hold it up close to your face and send those radiation straight into your eyeballs. cursing your eyesight for years to come. But my blindness isn't really the issue. It's just I don't really have a problem with the small screen that other people's have. And while I can understand that being a definite selling issue with like the Game Boy and stuff and the Game Boy Advance, seeing as we have XL DSs that have screens that are probably bigger than the YouTube player that you're using to watch this right now, I don't see why a screen size should be that big of a deal when playing a game, especially since handheld games are more often like RPGs or small-scale platformers where you really don't need a screen that big, you know? But I'm getting off topic. A portable LostWinds I still think would be an excellent time, because this sort of like semi-small, it's not exact. LostWinds isn't a game where they necessarily have dungeons. It's just sort of a sequence of a few puzzle rooms where you get through the puzzle rooms with your wind powers, and then you can go to the next puzzle room that you go through with your wind powers. That's pretty much exactly what I'm doing right now. But the thing is that if that were a handheld game, I think that would fit the handheld's style, I guess, really well, because you know you could play through one puzzle room, save, and then come back to the next one. Or if you've got more time on your hands, like I do, because I'm a nerd with no social life, then you could just keep on playing them over and over without saving. You know. I guess that's just another thing that makes me like handhelds better than consoles in general. Is just that I feel like the games have better pacing because they need to design their gameplay for whether you're playing for a marathon session or just a 5-minute lunch break session, which just generally leads to better game design in most cases. But yeah, just overall, I feel like handheld gaming would be a good place for this series to stay alive, because ever since this game came out in, I think it was 08. No, wait, the first game came out in 2008. I think this was 2009 or 2010. Either way, it's been a few years. And in the years that's happened since, other than the iOS ports, we really haven't seen anything from LostWinds, which is really a shame because this was a very promising IP for Frontier, especially considering that I haven't heard of any of their other stuff before this, you know. So yeah, I just don't really get why they dropped it off. I don't know if like this game didn't sell as well. It's hard to tell how well digital games do, because a lot of the time, like the people who track the game releases, they don't really count digital sales all that often. So it's even worse. It's a little bit more misleading nowadays with retail releases, because it's sort of hard for you to tell how well a game's sold when it's being sold on both the eShop and in a retail disc. But for games that are retail only, like LostWinds, I have no clue how many people bought and played this game. And it might be more than I thought it was, but considering that this is a property that's not really talked about all that much, it's even harder to get a sense of how popular it is. Like, for example, Mega Man 9, that was a download only game, and we don't really have a specific or precise number of how many copies that sold. But since it's a Mega Man game, you know, you can reasonably assume that it sold a decent number of copies, you know. Because, you know, it's a Mega Man game. This, while it's not a new IP, it's not a new IP, but it's not an old one either. This isn't a game that's guaranteed to sell. So and whenever I talk to people about it, I really just sort of get blank stares, and they're like, what? What game are you talking about? And so, yeah, it's hard for me to tell how well this game did, because I hear it did pretty okay. Like, critics liked this game plenty when it was first released, but I don't hear a lot of fan praise for it. Like, in my entire life, I've only ever known one other person who's played LostWinds. So, yeah, it's just, I guess it would have had to either been Frontier doing other projects, which I'm pretty sure they haven't, because I haven't seen a peep from them after this game came out, or it's just that people didn't buy LostWinds. But then again, I have trouble believing that as well, since, well, they got an iOS port, and if the game didn't do at least sort of okay on WiiWare, I don't get why they would ever release it on iOS, you know? It's like it's like the Ace Attorney series. Like, the series had to do well on the Game Boy Advance and DS before Capcom thought it would be profitable enough to port to the iOS. Because, believe it or not, people don't buy as many iPhone games as you think. Because, like, you know, you hear a lot of people talking about, like, how mobile gaming's, like, the future of gaming and stuff. But, really, it's sort of like the Wii, when it was first released, where that, yeah, a lot of people have mobile phones, and there are a lot of people buying mobile phone games, but it's really just Angry Birds, you know? Just like with the Wii, all the main audience had was Wii Sports, and for mobile games, it's just all the mobile game audience has is, like, Angry Birds, and that's just the casual audience. I don't think that there are very many hardcore mobile gaming people out there, and if there are, I'm sorry. It's not even like cell phone games have the same sort of dedicated fan base that Nintendo had. It's just sort of like, here's a phone, you can put games on it. Okay, there wasn't any sort of consumer base here. It's just there was Angry Birds, and that sold a lot of copies. So people got to thinking that cell phone games were the future of the medium, and I don't necessarily think that's the case. But, basically, I'm getting off topic. The point is that just because porting LostWinds to the iOS was not a guaranteed moneymaker. My mom does not go onto the iOS store and buy random games like this. She goes and she buys Words with Friends, and she buys Angry Birds, and she buys Temple Run, and games that are guaranteed to be, and games that she knows are good because everybody else plays them, and that she doesn't buy anything else. So, yeah, I don't know what the hell Frontier is doing, but if they made another LostWinds game, I would totally play it. Yes. Anyway, back to LostWinds. We just got the Drumbella cape. Basically, it works just like it did in LostWinds 1. If you remember at the very beginning of the game, I know it's hard because it's been so long since I actually posted the first part of this, but the cape got ripped up during that intro cinematic, and that's because, well, having this power-up would make the game pretty much broken from the start. But for those of you who haven't played LostWinds 1, basically it allows us to fly anywhere on the screen. You go into the air, and then you press the Z button, and then you expand the cape, and then you can do a strips. If you have Toku in the line of a slipstream, he'll pretty much go wherever you drag that slipstream to. So basically, it's your way to, in this case, not only skip a whole bunch of shit, but also just get a lot of hidden goodies. You don't really need it for anything in this game. In LostWinds 1, you needed it to get a couple of things, but in this case, it's mostly just a convenience thing. You'll use it to get some of those statues, and you'll use it to get places faster, but other than that, you're not going to be using it a whole lot. Also, a side note, Toku can't use the Drumbella cape when it's winter, because it's part of his summer outfit. Not that it's a big deal, mind you, but just so you know, if you see something that you can only get while with the Drumbella cape, you're also going to need to change the seasons so that it's summer as well. So yeah, that's just how that works. Anyway, with that journal entry right there, we have finally found all 13. And I really do like the journal, all 12, sorry. But I really do enjoy the journal entries in this game. It's just a really sort of touching thing. Speaking of touching, this scene makes me sad. You know, it's just like he's hugging his mom, and then she's turned into a thing of stone because evil, cursed diseases are bad, I guess. But, oh, no time to feel bad. You can't cry or mourn your mother's what essentially is your mother's death, because we need to stop River-N. Basically, what they're saying is that if we go kick his ass, we can take the mask off and we can cure her from being stoned. Basically, we'll get one of those gold needles from the Final Fantasy series, and then we'll pretty much be all set. I didn't think that a gold needle looked like a mask. I thought that it looked like a gold needle, but whatever, you know, being able to save our mom is a good thing, I guess. Anyway, next part, we go to the last unexplored area, and I swear to God, it's going to come up within a reasonable time frame. I'm ExandShadow, And I guess I'll see you guys later, but there's still like 10 seconds left of video footage because I have to get Toku to a save point. Okay, there it is. I'm gonna stop babbling now. Bye, guys.